I'd like to introduce my friend Tim Smith. Tim's going to give us an overview on 4K HDR, full input and output solutions. So take it away, Tim.
Essentially, that's what we do. But and then Charles is going to talk about the 4K camera going deep, and David will give you our monitors and things like that. I kind of want to talk about where Canon is as a company relative to what you're asking us for, what the industry is asking us for. In those 30 years, I counted up almost 23 formats that we've introduced, from 8mm up to wherever it is we are now, our new RAW format. And we've introduced well over 100 cameras in 30 years. And I was in the consumer world for a long time too. So that's a lot of products. This time it's a little bit different. The C500 and these lenses, which we're going to tell you about, called Sumirays, are completely new for us. It's a huge departure from our engineering mindset. The Sumiray lens, how many people have heard of the Sumiray lenses? Have you ever seen one? Awesome. You're here, you will. They're awesome lenses. They're spectacular. And what makes them special for us is the sort of built-in art or the imperfection in this glass. It's so against the grain of our engineers to sit down and try to figure out how to build a lens that isn't perfect, that has some art left in it, has some character in it. And it's a huge sort of internal thing going on, mostly in that room there with our engineers when they would come to visit. And they decided to roll the dice and build these lenses, and they are absolutely beautiful. You'll see some footage and stuff, and we have these lenses here. So we have a complete set of Sumiray primes, which are art lenses for us, and that's sort of a big thing. How many people have heard of the Canon K35s? How many people own a set? Ilya, do you have the K35s? Yes, even the rental houses. You should have bought them. You should have bought them. If you bought K35s in 1975, you paid $80,000 for a set. You'd be lucky to get $250,000 to $300,000 now. So, but the whole motivation of the Sumiray lenses really was sort of wrapped around the imperfection of the K35s. What made those so beautiful was the lead content, which is now completely illegal. The coatings, which are technically radioactive, so that's illegal. They will set off a Geiger counter. But we are struggling really hard to try to get back to where that was, to why those movies look so good. I'm not kidding, but that's true. They will set off a Geiger counter, and there's way too much lead in them now, so to actually be reproduced in a modern day lens. So we got to figure out how to do that technologically. The first stab at that was Sumirays. They are not K36s or K35 Mark IIs. They're a different lens, but the concept is there. The second thing is this C500. Like I said, it's almost 1,000 cameras. In my head, some of them all roll together. This one will not. This camera is a wish list of everything we got at all these non-disclosure meetings with filmmakers that said, I need this or I want this. And then after they left, the struggle with our engineers to say, listen to them and do that. And then them coming back and saying, maybe next year. Because they'd pretty much already built the camera that they wanted them to see. This time they wrote it all down, and they seemed to get it in there. This camera, there were 2 or 3 filmmakers who demanded that these engineers put crosshairs instead of a dot in the viewfinder. And this camera, you can now pick crosshairs or a dot. For 5 years, we struggled with some metadata issues that seemed like they should be simple, and they never changed, and they never changed. This one, they changed it. They listened to everything. Charles will get in deep, but essentially it's a 6K camera, which will shoot a full-frame 6K image with 15 stops of latitude in 10 and 12-bit color space. It has true interchangeable mounts. You can call for an EF mount, and the truck could change the mount in 10 minutes and be back with an EF lens. It's 4 screws and shims, and it's all included. It'll take you 10 minutes to change the mount. On the C700, you could bring it in here, we would change the mount and charge you over $1,000. So that's a big thing. Just the mount changes alone makes my life much easier too, because I show up and somebody says, put this lens on there, like, you didn't tell me which camera to bring. So one camera, both mounts. We made it modular. So the camera body itself is 3.9 pounds. But we built it to build out. So This is the whole camera out of the box. It'll shoot 6K RAW internally, just like this out of the box. But if I need a different camera, I put on a different module. And there's several of these for different configurations. This would be closest to a filmmaker module. The big thing on this one is it moves to more industrial batteries instead of just a Canon battery. There's another one which is more geared towards live event and television that makes it gin lockable. The viewfinder piece can go on here if you choose to do that. And then because it's modular, we're not done building for this camera yet. So it's a huge shift in the way in our approach to building cameras. Huge shift. It makes a big difference for us. So it's not just another announcement for us. This is a big one. This is the way we're going about becoming a camera company moving on. Anybody use this? You heard the 700, the C700? Yeah, you've used it, right? It's 3 times its size. And we built it that big because everybody told us to. And as soon as we built it that big, everybody said we want smaller cameras. Like the second day after we released it. It's like, why is it so big? It's because everybody said put it on my shoulder. It's like, yeah, well, that was yesterday. I think this one now, so instead of building a big camera, we're going to build a modular camera. So 700, by the way, is a great camera, but it's twice the price of this camera, and this is a better camera. So it's going to be an interesting, I don't know what's going to happen to that. So probably get a good deal. But it's still a great image. And if you need a camera on your shoulder, that's the way to go. So anyway, so that's sort of my part. I just kind of wanted to point out that this is sort of a big change for us. This is a whole new direction for Canon as a cinema company. And it's a whole new mindset, and there's sort of a whole new crop of engineers that are much cooler than the old engineers, and they're listening. So yeah, as you talk to any of us tonight, Charles and Adrian and whatever, give us an idea. You might see it on the C500 Mark II or something.
I'd like to introduce Charles Zablan. He's going to tell us about the Canon's new exciting C500 Mark II.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jim. Good evening, everybody. My name is Charles Zablan, and I'm the senior trainer here at Canon Burbank. For those of you guys that haven't met me yet, I hope that at the end of the presentations today that you'd come see me. I would love to demo the camera for you guys here at Canon Burbank and really go into more detail regarding all the features. I'm going to do a brief overview again of what we're offering now. For the last 15 years, I've been a shooter, and I've done everything in the industry from stills to moving picture to you name it, I've done it. But throughout that career, I've shot Canon. And I was extremely excited when Canon first released the 5D Mark II, and then extremely excited when the C100 came out. I was one of the first people to buy the C100, and I couldn't have been more pleased to have that. I still own that original body. It sits as a mantelpiece trophy in my house. But with that said, the different needs of productions have evolved extremely quickly. We've now come to a day and age where the demands of the production is just so much greater than what we had before, and Canon is really proud to announce that we've released the C500 Mark II. This really answers a lot of different needs for different productions. The C500 Mark II is, like what Tim said, is a full frame 5.9K CMOS sensor, has a new Digic DV7 engine, which is extremely fast. For those of you guys that are any C300 Mark II users or C300 Mark I users, okay, what's some of the pain points in those cameras? Switching from slow and fast frame rate to regular frame rate, right? It's kind of painful. It's completely fast now. We even put a button on the side of the camera so that all you have to do is press the button to switch from a regular frame rate to your slow and fast motion. Electronic image stabilization. This is groundbreaking for a cinema camera. For those of you guys that are shooting PL glass, vintage glass, all you have to do is input the focal length into the camera, and the camera stabilizes the image. 5-axis image stabilization. It has a 12G SDI support. No more running 4 cables out of the camera. Single cable 4K. User interchangeable lens mounts. It literally takes 3 minutes. I timed myself to see how fast I can unscrew it. It's only 4 screws, and then the mounts come with shims. So depending on how you want to do your back focus, you could definitely shim the mount. In-camera RAW recording with Cinema Raw Lite. For those of you guys that have never used Cinema Raw Lite, it is one of the best RAW formats out there. It's very flexible. It creates a beautiful image, and it's 1/3 to 1/5 the size of the RAW that comes out of the C700. It's lightweight, it's compact, and it's extremely modular. When we released the C200 a couple of years ago, I was really happy with that form factor. And we've taken that form factor and ran away with it. This camera is just really modular. You could take out the rear viewfinder if you wanted to. You could add in this module back there. If you don't want it to be as big, we have a smaller module that adds gen lock to the rear, so that you could actually have a smaller form factor camera. And it's using CFast Express. For those of you guys that are not accustomed yet to NVMe technology, I suggest that you buy stock to the companies that are developing the solid state media. It's blazing fast. The CFast Express that we're going to ship with the camera has a minimum speed of 1700 megabits per second. So for those of you guys, to give that a little bit of context, it takes me 4 minutes to unload 512 gigabytes to solid state. So when you're going from solid state to solid state. Full frame, 5.9K CMOS sensor. So these are the different resolutions that you're going to get with the camera. 5.9K for the full frame. When you're recording in RAW, it takes in that full 5.9K sensor and records it in RAW light. In 4K and 2K, you can record in 10-bit 422 internally into the camera. You're going to get about, on a 512 card, you're going to get about 30 minutes of RAW recording time and about 120 minutes of 10-bit 422 in 4K. You could also record in UHD 16:9 and 4K 17:9. In 2K, frame rate wise, you're going to get 5.9K at 60p. You're going to do 4K at 60 and 2K at 120, up to 120 frames per second. Again, 5-axis in-body image stabilization. This is really exciting for a cinema camera. And we're doing it on the sensor level. And so for those of you guys that have tried other sensor image stabilization that actually move, you know that sometimes it will actually error and your image jitters. With doing it the way that we're doing it, the engineers have really thought this through. One of the engineers is one of my friends, and I asked him, so what's the thought behind this? And his dream is to have a camera that you can handhold and be as stable as being on a Steadicam. And so this is where we're going for the future. This is the kind of technology that Canon is now pushing forward. And it's really exciting. Highly modular, like I said. We have different lens mounts. We have the Cinema Lock for EF. And then we have a PL mount kit. And then, of course, the regular EF mount. Towards the rear, right over here, is an OLED electronic viewfinder. That's the EVF V50. It's updated and really clear, really sharp, really bright. We have a new LCD LMV2 touchscreen, and it allows us to have a larger touchscreen for this camera. And it's actually very nice even in bright daylight. The extension unit, the EUV1, that's the one that I was talking about. If you wanted to have a smaller form factor and you wanted to add gen lock sync to the rear, you could add that towards the rear. And then the this one, which you've seen, the V2 is also available. Now, for those of you guys that have used the C700, the shoulder support kit, the SU15, still works with this camera too. Super easy to change the mount. It's literally 4 screws and a couple of shims in the back, and you're back in business. And so for those of you guys that are switching from tripod use to gimbal, so say you wanted to have a really lightweight gimbal or a really lightweight rig for your drone, you could easily put an EF mount with autofocus. And you'll be able to control the camera via Wi-Fi with a WFT9 module that can be connected to the side of the camera. Of course, with Canon, all of your EF and cinema glass works perfectly. Your autofocus, your face detect, it works perfectly in this camera. It's pretty amazing. I've been shooting with this camera for like a month and a half now, and it's continuing to blow me away, especially with the autofocus. I know not a lot of production, a lot of production still poo-poo on the autofocus, but I want you guys to have an open mind and try it out. It's configurable. You can adjust how quickly it racks into focus. You can adjust how quickly it detects image. And with our sensor-based technology, it can actually detect up to 5 faces in the scene. And all you have to do is tap on the screen to pick which face you want the camera to autofocus on. And that's pretty amazing. Makes it really fast for run and gun documentary. You can easily go from handheld to gimbal use to drone to studio. All really, really easy to configure that camera because of its modular body. And then, of course, for news gathering as well for broadcast. My name is Charles Zablan. I would like to invite you guys later on to feel free to ask me any questions that you might have, and I'm looking forward to meeting everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Charles. Next, we have a presentation from Wooden Camera. Matt Eidenbock is going to tell us about some ways they have to dress up the Canon C500 Mark II.
If you don't know Wooden Camera, we don't make wooden cameras, which we get that question a lot at trade shows. We make cinema camera accessories for pretty much any cinema camera you can think of. We make it. So we have 3 kits for the C500 Mark II. What you see here is the Pro kit. So what we have for it is the top plate, which is probably the most different out of anything from the previous C500, C300 for our kit specifically. If you get the Pro kit, you also get the NATO handle V2. So this has a little NATO rail right here, and you can just simply unscrew it, click and slide it off. It comes with the UVF mount. This is a universal mount, but with any Q20, you can attach the viewfinder onto there. And then we have 2 base plates. We have the universal base plate, and then we have the one specifically made for the C500 Mark II, which is the perfect distance between the base plate and the lens. And then we have a quick release on the dumb side. You unscrew this, it'll pop off. I would try to do it here, but I don't have a tripod. And then the other side will loosen the dovetail, slide it back and forth. With the base kit, you get the top handle V2, not the NATO lock handle, and you won't get a dovetail. You'll get a little quick release on the bottom. But with the advanced kit, you'll get an 8-inch dovetail. You'll get the top handle, the NATO top handle, which also has the option. In the Pro kit, you will get the UVF mount 2, which is this guy right here. The Pro kit also comes with the battery slide. So if you don't have the module for the back of the C500, you have a battery slide right here, 15 millimeter lightweight, goes right onto the rods, and then you can unscrew it here, slide it back if you need to get back there to do anything, switch any media out. I'll just keep that like that for now. The base kit's 1038, advanced kit's 1328, and the Pro kit's 2105. Actually, Creative Solutions LA, which we also share a building with Teradek and Small HD, is actually just down the street from here. If you put it into Google Maps, you find it pretty easily. It's right across from the Burbank Airport. There's a showroom there. If you want to come in and get your C500 decked out with our demo gear, you're more than welcome to. My name is Matt. I'll be wandering around. If you have any questions at all, just let me know. And that's about it.